perimenopause absolutely causes a predisposition to gain weight. So the big frustration for women is I'm doing the same thing and I'm really frustrated that my belly fat's increasing. I can't get rid of this belly.
What's up, everybody? I am super excited. Today's guest is Dr. Dian Ginsberg, a double board certified physician in OBGYN and anti-aging and regenerative medicine. She's an expert in hormone balance, perimenopause, and healthy aging, helping women navigate midlife changes with science-backed strategies. She also serves on the advisory board for Functional Medicine University, Beyond Medicine. And here's kind of the cool part. I'm just going to say this. Get ready for this. Beyond Medicine, she's a powerhouse athlete, having run in the New York and Boston marathons, completed 7 Ironman 70.3 races, and just won her age group in the Spartan Beast. At 60, she's training for another marathon to requalify for Boston, and she trains at a ninja gym on a mission to be the oldest woman to conquer the warped wall. Dr. Ginsburg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I guess that sounds pretty cool when you hear somebody read it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I just got to get to the warped wall. I can get up that. I just got to get through the other 5 obstacles.
Okay. Oh, is that all? Just have, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So we're just going to jump right in. Super quick question. Does perimenopause cause weight gain? Is that a myth or is it truth? What's happening here?
Okay. So perimenopause absolutely causes a predisposition to gain weight. So the big frustration for women is I'm doing the same thing and I'm really frustrated that my belly fat's increasing. I can't get rid of this belly fat. What happens is, and I want women to think of it this way. Paleolithically, in caveman times, when you hit irregular cycles or perimenopausal times, it was obvious you couldn't have a baby anymore. So I always say that the I can have a baby tent that you were in, you get moved out of and you get put in the grandma tent. And that's actually in medical literature. They call it the grandmother hypothesis. Okay. And what you did is you watched the kids, but you got fed less. You got sheltered less. So in order to keep you alive, your body took care of you. So testosterone is here and estrogen is lower normally through your life. What happens with aging is estrogen drops relative to testosterone. That's another reason why you don't want to shoot your testosterone levels up. But as that gap increases, it's a trigger to your system. Can't have a baby anymore. Better slow the metabolism. So yes, in perimenopause, you will get a metabolic slowdown. On top of that, what happens is, which is why strength training is so important, is that not only are you losing muscle, but you lose the ability to put your glucose in your muscle. So you eat your meal, right? You drive your glucose up, and instead of putting it in the muscle, the actual muscle receptors change. Now you can't get it in the muscle as well. So now you have this leftover sugar floating around and your body goes, don't know when I'm going to eat it again, save it for a rainy day. And that ratio of lower estrogen to testosterone triggers, let me store it, and it stores it as belly fat. So as you progress through that perimenopause into menopause, your insulin resistance will get worse just with aging, and your weight gain around your belly will come a lot easier.
Okay. So let's unpack that, because I mean, the real question everyone wants to know who's listening to this is, okay, I hear that way, and I'm listening to this episode because I already know the answer. I already know what you just told me. Right. So now what? What can I do if I'm a woman going through perimenopause, experiencing some of these symptoms? What can I do? What am I doing here?
So everybody's got a busy life, right? As you know. So you want to know what are the most efficient things you can do. The best way I think perimenopausal women need to look at this is you have to sort of refocus what your day-to-day life is. Because the biggest frustration is, well, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm getting this weight change. What has to happen is you have to compensate for those changes, meaning you have to build muscle. You are losing it aggressively. It's one of those kind of tough luck things. That's what happens. One of the biggest things that I hear is, oh, I hate perimenopause. I hate this menopause. This isn't fair. It doesn't matter. It's coming. That's what it is. I tell people, I don't want to pay United $500 to fly on an airplane, but I can't flap my wings and fly, right? Yeah. There are certain things so it's coming your way. So what are you going to do to sort of fight the physics of the downfall a little bit of the body? So a lot of people, I see women wearing those weight vests. They're saying I'm walking and doing my 10,000.
So I went to the CrossFit Games. They were in Fort Worth this past summer. Went to the CrossFit Games. And at the CrossFit Games, it's this massive. There's the games happening, but then there's this massive facility with people trying to sell stuff to all the affiliate owners, which I'm an affiliate owner. And two of the booths sold these weighted vests, made specifically and cut for women. Okay, weighed 2 pounds. The weighted vest weighed 2 pounds. I was like, it is August. You walk outside with a cotton shirt and you're going to put 2 pounds of moisture in the shirt. Like, what are we doing?
It's 100%. And the negative part of that is that now it's convinced women that if I put that vest on and I walk for 30 minutes, that I'm doing my body good. And I've done my 10,000 steps and I've done that. And that's basically going to do nothing for you. Your 10,000 steps should be just kind of part of your life. But you're doing those 10,000 steps, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, be a little bit active. What you put that 2 pound vest on, to me, the weighted vest has one purpose. If you're going to race, like I wear a 25 pound weighted vest on the VersaClimber when I work out, because when I run my marathon, now I feel lighter, right? When I was in high school, we wore 4 bathing suits when we practiced, because then on race day, you felt smoother in the water. That's the only purpose for it. This weighted vest and this.
Okay, I just want to clarify. The purpose of wearing a weighted vest is if you are training for a race, and yours is not 2 pounds, it is 25 pounds, right? It is a percentage of your total body weight, right? I mean, 10, 20 percentage of your body weight. And you are wearing that vest to prep specifically for a run so you will feel lighter.
So I'll feel lighter, period. But
it is not to build muscle, to stave off perimenopausal symptoms.
No. And when I do that, usually 20, 30 minutes before my lift, when I go then to the hour workout, I take the vest off. So what my advice for that perimenopausal woman is forget the weighted vest, forget the walking, and separate yourself into, I'm going to do low level cardio. You have to get your heart rate up. And I'll tell you numbers that you can look at very easy. And then you need to lift heavy. And I'm not saying if you're not,
you say that again?
You have to lift heavy.
Lift heavy.
If you haven't been lifting at all, I'm not telling you, oh my God, go in the gym and try to squat 100 pounds. But your brain needs to say, now I'm in the gym and I'm lifting. When I first started, I was lifting just the bar. Like all I was squatting was the bar. I was afraid of the weights. They were overwhelming for me. And I needed good form. So I put just the bar on. I could handle that. And I squatted as low as I could. And I stood back up and I did my 10 or my 15 squats and then my break. But that's where I started. And then as you do more, you get better form, you get stronger, and you build. Then whether you're doing lunges or whether you're doing deadlifts or whatever you're doing in the gym, you're working towards a heavier weight so you strain the system. That is separate from doing your cardio. Your cardio, if you like spin class here and there, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you're going to stay lean, because the problem when you over cardio, especially when you haven't lifted enough, what your body's going to do is it's going to burn glucose from your liver and not burn fat. So it's this low level cardio. Heart rate, generally 180 minus your age. That's a good kind of fat burning zone to live with. That will get you into pulling fat out of the storage area and using it when you take good muscle to that cardio. So that's how you're complementing it. So, right, we hit perimenopause. We get a little more insulin resistant. So we're losing muscle plus getting in the muscles harder. So as we build our real weight, what will happen is we'll try to restore that muscle to try to hang on to any resting metabolism we have. Remember, your resting metabolism is going to go down to maybe 12 or 13, 1400 calories. Most women don't realize that. The calorie burn goes down. Now you've got good muscle. And when you run that at a heart rate of 130 or swim or VersaClimber or bike or whatever you like, but that heart rate's got to get a little elevated, not crazy, but a little elevated. That combo is going to feed on that fat pad and lean you down.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about a little bit, we need to lift heavy, and heavy is going, and I just want to, I think you agree with this. You and I didn't talk before this, but if you to me, the way that I coach lift, what does it mean to lift heavy? A warm-up set, like let's say we're going to lift, go up to a heavy set of 5. I'm going to try to lift the most I can for a heavy set of 5. I'm going to start with just body weight, and I want to do 10 to 20 reps at body weight. Then I'm going to use, at my gym, we have a 15-pound barbell. So I'm going to do a 15-pound barbell, then a 35-pound barbell, then a 45-pound barbell, right? And then I want to start adding weight. Those are all warm-up sets. And I just keep doing sets of 5 until after I do a set of 5, I rack the bar and I need to rest because it was heavy and I am now tired. That we call a working set. I'm no longer warmed up, or I'm more than warm. I'm now working, and now I'm going to add a little bit more weight, and I'm going to do 5 sets of 5 reps at a working weight, right? And my weight is going to be different than your weight, different than my wife's weight, different than Sean's weight. He's the strongest guy in my gym, right? But it's going to be heavy for me in that moment for the day, and it's going to strain my body. That's how I'm going to increase my muscle mass and increase my bone density.
And you can't get around that. You
can't get around that.
Laws of physics. You can't wear an 8-pound vest and walk and get that to happen. You have to put force on the system. So you start at your level, but you move in that direction. And then remember that where you burn is between meals, is just living your life, right? So you've built your muscle in the gym by doing those heavier weights. And now when you eat, you burn calories to repair your muscle. But then in the middle of the day, when the brain says, oh my God, I'm out of blood sugar, I can't function anymore, what am I going to do? That's when you go at your fat and you start to burn it. Same thing. You eat dinner, you spike your glucose. Everybody's happy, plenty of stuff. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, as the glucose comes down, you need the body to start pulling on that fat. That's where you kind of keep yourself lean. That's why a lot of women you'll see in perimenopause and menopause, we tell them to wear a glucose monitor. And what they'll do is they'll find in the middle of the night, their glucose bottoms out. Okay. And what that's telling you is that as you run out of glucose in your blood, your body's not fat burning. And usually that's an indicator of kind of an imbalance of the system, or the muscle mass isn't where it needs to be, or the sympathetic parasympathetic system, right? The fight or flight and the calm isn't balanced.
Okay. You mentioned earlier about calorie expectations, because when I go to McDonald's and I look at the menu, it says that I need to be eating 2,000 calories.
Not even close. Perimenopausal women, menopausal women, you're lucky again if you're going to burn 1,400 calories. So think about it this way. When I did 35 years of OB-GYN, and as I got older and I got way more interested in helping menopausal women, I stopped delivering babies about 4 or 5 years ago. But when we used to admit people years ago, we used to admit people to the hospital for gestational diabetes to get them under control. And then as things got better at home and people failed the gestational diabetes screen, we would have them see a nutrition counselor on the outside world. A pregnant 35 or 30-year-old woman is given a 2,200 calorie diet. A pregnant young woman puts a lot into perspective. If she's eating that, growing that baby, there's no way we in perimenopause, menopause are going to come anywhere near that. 2,000, 2,200, 1,800. So it's a reality of what your body's burning. Now, where women now get into trouble is, let me cut my calories below that. Well, and that's what some of the meds that are out there do, right? Some of the the semaglutide and the trizepatides and those guys. That's why it is so important. And I don't judge anybody what decision they make with that. What I do push aggressively is that your body is smarter than you. So if you drop your calories significantly and you are not aggressively monitoring protein and not aggressively lifting along with that, and you start going to 800-900 calories a day, you will lose muscle. But more than that, whether you're on meds or not, you will drop your resting metabolism and it won't necessarily come back. So really important is to understand the calorie burn, what you have to do above that, and then eating somewhere in between. And that's going to optimize your weight and health in perimenopause, menopause.
Okay. So how do we find that?
Well, I think that most of the time we focus a little bit more on macro counting. And I think you macro count well.
And when we're macro counting, we're talking about protein, fats, and carbs.
Yep. And I'm not even saying you have to really weigh your food, because women get so overwhelmed with all of that. what I tell people to do on sort of a crazy day-to-day life schedule, but to keep you in line, here's what can make your life easy. Focus on your protein content, right? So I was taught, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I was taught weight divided by 2.2. So you put your weight in kilograms and then you multiply by 1.5. And that's going to give you sort of a reasonable number of the amount of protein you need. And good old Dr. Google, if you type in how much protein's in a chicken breast, you're going to get ballpark numbers. So you don't have to weigh anything on the scale. So number one, just focus that you're getting enough protein in. If you can't do it with food, a good quality protein powder to help supplement that is fine. Okay, now what you're going to do is what's going to keep you healthy is nutrients and a diverse microbiome. The more different bugs you have, the better you are. Well, guess what happens with aging? Your microbiome diversity goes down. So therefore, your nutrient absorption goes down. So if you now focus on getting my protein in, but now I'm going to worry about getting about 3 to 4 cups of vegetables in every day, which means when you have those eggs in the morning, don't make it hard. Just grab extra vegetables that you've cooked from the night before. Make sure you get a cup and a half of vegetables with each meal. So if you're getting that protein in and you're getting good vegetables, you haven't weighed anything. You haven't really thought about anything. You've just added that to your plate. Third, remember that simple carbohydrates, the more pounded your carbs are, so your oatmeal, your rice, your quinoa, the guys that are pounded, those are going to break into glucose quicker. So you lean a little away from them and you're better with parsnips, sweet potato, white potato, butternut squash. Those guys, those are your root vegetables. So try to add those in as your carbohydrates. Then again, you don't have to worry, I got to weigh, I got 30%, because that's where everybody gets lost. But now what's going to happen when you worry about all the other things, you're naturally going to be in a good place and you're not going to overeat and you're going to hit that calorie percentage easier than you think.
Okay. So what I heard, and you correct me a little bit if you need to. So my breakfast, I'm going to have 3 eggs with 3 actual eggs, but I'm also going to add a couple of egg whites. Okay. And then I'm also going to have, you mentioned vegetables. I like in the morning, especially, I like fruit. So this morning I had a Honeycrisp apple and a banana. And then I have 1 piece of bacon because it's bacon and I love bacon.
And it's good. And it's got a little bit of fat in it. So it's good.
It's got a little bit of fat, right? So that's my breakfast as opposed to Lucky Charms.
Correct.
Or the healthy cereal, the fiber.
Stay away from cereal.
Can you just clarify, you and I have not talked about this, so I'm hoping you give the same answer that I would give. But I have a regular conversation, especially about breakfast, about how people need to eat, I'm putting this in air quotes, need to eat fiber. And they're talking about, basically cereal.
So eat vegetables. Last I was taught, string beans had fiber in them, and so did broccoli, and so did Brussels sprouts. That's plenty of fiber. So what I think people need to stop doing is also thinking about breakfast as breakfast and just eat food. Like my older son doesn't do well with eggs. So therefore, Andy will get up in the morning, like sometimes when he's home visiting and we'll go out to dinner, he'll order like a second dinner and he'll bring it back to his apartment and he'll eat it for breakfast. So people need to stop. See, that's what Kellogg's and those guys want you to think. I have to have oatmeal in the morning. And somebody turned around and said, oatmeal's going to help your cholesterol. Where did that come from? Well, everybody wants to eat oatmeal because it's going to drop their cholesterol. So the key is to eat food. Don't be afraid to eat the leftover bison burger with some chicken. And if you want bacon, you can have a little bit of that. And then have your cup of vegetables, which is going to have your fiber. And then have some sweet potato cubes or things that are in the refrigerator that are easy for you for the morning. But there's plenty of fiber in that, and you can stay away from that junk cereal.
Okay. So we've been talking for about 20 minutes, and we have covered all the highlights, right? The highlights. If you could give our listeners one action, what is one action for them to move forward? What one action, just one, hopefully it's quick, simple, easy, ideally, what one action would you give them to take?
So for a menopausal woman, the one thing I would tell you to do is own your hormones. And the reason I'm jumping to that is because dropping estrogen, even subtle drops, even if you're still having normal periods, if you're not quite making the estrogen you used to, your brain's not going to work. Your motivation isn't there. You don't feel good. You're not yourself. You're feeling frustrated. So everything else I can tell you, take your omega, take your D, go to the gym, exercise, you're not going to feel good. And the problem that happens is that, like anything else, if you're paying all your bills and then somebody cuts your salary in half, but your bills don't change, your life turns upside down. And that's what I want you to think of perimenopause and menopause. So if all of a sudden the brain says, I need X amount of estrogen to function, and you don't give it to me, I won't work. And that's where women get really frustrated. Now, if a 30-year-old comes to me, I'm telling her to lift, I'm telling her to clean up her life, I'm giving her a very different conversation. As you get into the early mid 40s, even that young, we're seeing younger perimenopause, menopause drop in estrogen. Fix that and then move on.
And how do we fix that?
Well, we do blood, and I do a 24-hour urine. We do it at a certain point in your cycle. So it's not always perfect, because everybody's going to say, oh, hormones fluctuate. Yes, they do. But you can look at the brain hormone that's telling the ovary what to do, and you will start to see a subtle disconnect in that. On top of that, if you do a 24-hour urine on day 19, 20, or 21 of your cycle, very often what you'll see is lower levels of estrogen. So sometimes just a micro dose makes a big difference.
A microdose of
estrogen. And we add a little progesterone with that, but adding that to the brain, now the brain says, oh, my ovary's making this, I'm adding that, now I have enough to go around. So now all the other things that everybody's telling you to do, you can do, because you can sleep through the night. You feel motivated again. Your brain's functioning. So I would own that hormone balance while you're working on the other stuff.
So when we think about symptoms for a perimenopausal woman, we know what the prescription is: lift heavy, eat meat and vegetables. That, by the way, fits like the CrossFit methodology. Again, you and I did not talk about this beforehand, but that fits the exact nutrition prescription from CrossFit. But for a woman, you mentioned, when the estrogen isn't where it needs to be, when the disconnect between it and testosterone gets larger.
Yes.
What are some other symptoms? Like you touched on it a little bit, but I just want to make sure our listeners are clear on what those symptoms can be.
So your brain is divided into about 10 big nuclei. So just visualize, this is your sleep guy, and this is your focus guy, and this is your fight or flight guy, and this is your mood guy, and this is your body temperature guy. So there's about 10 nuclei in the brain that each have a job. So what happens, and this is why perimenopausal symptoms and menopausal symptoms are so variable. So now all of a sudden, again, somebody says, okay, same bills, but I'm cutting your salary in half. Well, every house on the block, if I went that to, is going to give me a different answer. One person's going to go, I'm not going to pay my taxes, I'm going to buy my food. So the brain kind of does the same thing. So it tries to compensate, which is a very nice word for shrinks, which is why women say, why do you think we get dementia? Because the brain says, I can't function anymore. I got to figure out what I can do. It shrinks. If it shrinks enough, your memory doesn't work. Memory's expensive. She may wind up with hot flashes. You could take a bunch of women 45 and you put them around a table. You're going to get a bunch of different symptoms. She's got hot flashes. She can't sleep. She feels itchy with bugs crawling on her. She's not motivated, can't get off the couch. She feels more anxiety. We see that a lot. Things that never used to bother, I feel a little bit more anxious. I have a lot less patience. I have joint pain. When your estrogen drops, right? What happens in pregnancy? Most people go, oh, my headaches went away and my joint pain's gone, right? Because you're surging all this estrogen. And what do? The immune system backs off. The immune system says, everybody stay away, don't kill the baby. So then what happened in perimenopause is now as estrogen drops, the immune system starts to take over. So that's where women will get that frozen shoulder and their mobility drops. So you're going to see all different symptoms because this hot flash guy may compensate in me, but my memory guy can't pick it up. So it's so variable. But the big thing I tell people is can't sleep through the night. Okay. Generally, flashes hit on and off during the day, motivation's down, and you got brain fog. It's hot, women will complain of. And even if you're still having periods, that may mean you still need a little bit of estrogen.
Okay, awesome. So I like to end the episode with a call to action, something that quick, easy, simple action for them to take. And what you said earlier was to get hormones checked. Is
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Get your hormones checked and see where you are. And you do, I guess, a 24-hour urinary test.
I always do blood. I always do
blood. Okay.
insurance covers it, and you can look at blood. And there's a lot of women, again, or practitioners that say that blood doesn't tell you anything. But it really does if you look at the balance or you look at the ratio between what the brain is telling the ovary. It's not perfect because there is so much fluctuation. But again, I really make a big deal out of looking at that because you can get your vitamin D therapeutic. You can take your omega. You can get your gym membership. You can, but if this isn't working and your brain doesn't have enough estrogen, you won't be able to sleep. None of the other stuff will work. So if you feel you've been beating your head against the wall and you're doing all the right things, you got to do a little deeper dive into, are you one of those people that are having subtle hormone changes earlier?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. Last thing, how can listeners reach out to you? How can they find you?
So we have a YouTube channel. So Sheila, my nutritionist, and I try to give tons of information. We have a YouTube channel and we're actually trying to update that a little bit more, but there's a lot of videos on, even though a couple of them are a couple of years old. It talks about like Hashimoto's and the gluten connection and changes in hormones and brain and why you would take this hormone versus not. So there's a lot of info on our YouTube channel. And then you can just go to our website. It's Dian Ginsburg, MD, and there's a bunch of info on there. If you guys have questions or want to get your hormones checked. But I really try to give a lot of info on our YouTube channel because I think the more educated a woman is, the better. I'm coming out now. I'm working with somebody to come out with an AI sort of digital Ginsburg that is educational and a little interactive. And again, because I think if you go to your doctor's appointment with your specific understanding and you sort of hit that perimenopausal change and then you turn around and go, okay, this is kind of reality for me. I got to do this. I got to do that. You will be doing all the right things by the time you go get your hormones checked. And that's how you're going to maximize your health.
Perfect. And I'll put all the links in the show notes for anyone who wants to click on those. Well, thank you, Dr. Ginsburg. Really appreciate your time.
Enjoyed it.
I appreciate the conversation. That's a wrap on today's episode with Dr. Dian Ginsburg. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I got some tremendous valuable insights in how you can take control of your health during that special phase of your life. But we are not stopping there. Over the next few episodes, we'll be diving deeper into perimenopause, its impacts on women's health, and what women can do about it to take control of their health. We'll be diving into topics like how to work out, how to sleep better, and how to improve your muscle mass and bone density in your 40s and beyond. So if that topic resonates with you, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. And if you are looking for simple, science-backed ways to take charge of your health every single day, whether it's eating better, sleeping better, training smarter, or improving your mindset, please check out my book, 1 Minute Fitness. It's packed with quick, actionable steps you can take to live a longer, happier, and healthier life. You can grab your copy now, Amazon, or you can visit my website, visitpeoplegettingfit.com. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this helpful, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And as always, keep showing up and working hard. Have a great day. Bye.